In the heart of the dark woods, where whispers turned to screams, 17-year-old Marcus felt eyes watching him, eyes that didn't belong to any animal. A black teenager in a small, predominantly white town, he thought the forest was a sanctuary. But that night, something sinister stalked him. Not a creature, but a hatred cloaked in human skin. What happens when the monsters aren't myths, but the people you pass every day? Marcus Thompson, a lanky 17-year-old with a love for sketching, lived on the edge of Pine Hollow, a rural town nestled against dense, shadowy woods. His family had moved there 2 years ago, hoping for a quiet life. As one of the few black families in a sea of white faces, Marcus felt like an outsider. School was a gauntlet of sidelong glances and whispered slurs, but he found solace in the woods, where he'd sketch towering pines and listen to the wind's secrets. Every weekend, Marcus hiked deep into the forest, his sketchbook tucked under his arm, capturing the wild beauty that felt like his only friend. His mother, a nurse, worried about him wandering alone, but Marcus insisted the woods were safe, safer than the town's judgmental stares. He'd heard rumors about the forest, old tales of skinwalkers, malevolent beings that mimic humans, but he laughed them off as campfire stories meant to scare kids. Yet lately, the town's hostility had grown sharper. Graffiti appeared on their mailbox. "Go back where you came from." Marcus ignored it, but unease crept into his chest. One evening, as he planned a twilight hike to clear his mind, he noticed a group of older boys from school watching him from across the street, their eyes glinting with something darker than mischief. Why were they watching? And why did the woods, his refuge, suddenly feel like a trap? Marcus set out that evening, the sky bruising purple as he slipped into the woods. His flashlight cast thin beams through the tangled branches, and the air felt heavy, like the forest held its breath. He tried to focus on the crunch of leaves underfoot, but the memory of those boys' stares clung to him. He'd seen them before. Jake, the ringleader, with his cruel smirk and his friends always trailing like a pack of wolves. Half a mile in, Marcus heard it, a snap of twigs, too deliberate to be a deer. He froze, heart pounding, and scanned the darkness. Nothing. He told himself it was his imagination, but the hairs on his neck stood up. He pressed on, clutching his sketchbook like a shield. Then a low whistle cut through the silence, mocking and close. Marcus spun around, his flashlight catching only shadows. "Who's there?" he whispered, voice swallowed by the trees. The sounds grew, footsteps circling him just beyond the light. He quickened his pace, the path twisting deeper into the woods. Suddenly, his flashlight beam caught a glimpse of movement, a figure darting between trees. Then another. Marcus's breath hitched. These weren't animals. He recognized Jake's red cap, the glint of a belt buckle. The boys from town were here, hunting him. Panic surged as Marcus broke into a run, branches clawing at his face. Behind him, laughter echoed, cold and venomous. "You don't belong here, boy." Jake's voice rang out, laced with hate. Marcus stumbled, his sketchbook falling into the dirt. He scrambled to grab it, but a rock whizzed past his head, shattering against a tree. They were closing in, their taunts sharpening into threats. "Run! All you want will find you." Marcus's mind raced. This wasn't just a prank. It was a chase, fueled by the same hatred he'd felt in their stares, their slurs, their graffiti. The woods, his sanctuary, had become a trap, and he was the prey. He ducked behind a massive oak, heart hammering, as the footsteps grew louder. What did they want? To scare him? Or something worse? As he crouched, gasping, a new sound emerged, a low, guttural chant, not from the boys, but from deeper in the woods. It wasn't English. It felt ancient, unnatural. Marcus's blood ran cold. Was it his imagination, or were the shadows moving differently now? Were the boys the only threat, or had something else joined the hunt? Marcus's legs burned as he sprinted, the chant growing louder, weaving through the boys' mocking laughter. He tripped, crashing into a clearing where moonlight spilled like a spotlight. There they were, Jake and 3 others, their faces twisted with glee, holding flashlights and sticks. "Got you now," Jake sneered, stepping closer. Marcus scrambled back, his back against a tree, nowhere to run. The air thickened with malice. Jake raised a stick, his eyes gleaming with something beyond anger. Pure, raw hatred. "You think you can just walk around here like you belong?" he spat. The others closed in, their shadows looming like predators. Marcus's heart screamed, but his voice was gone. This was it, the moment the town's silent prejudice became a fist. Then the chant stopped. A bone-chilling howl split the night, not human, not animal. The boys froze, their bravado crumbling. Something moved in the trees. Fast, unnatural, a flicker of eyes that weren't theirs. Jake's flashlight trembled, catching nothing but darkness. "What the hell was that?" one of them whispered. Marcus didn't care. He saw his chance and bolted, adrenaline drowning his fear. As he ran, the boys' shouts turned to screams behind him. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. The woods seemed alive, the shadows twisting, as if the hatred they'd unleashed had awakened something older, angrier. Marcus didn't look back. He ran until the trees parted, his lungs burning, the screams fading into the night. Had the woods turned on the pursuers? Or was the real monster the hate that brought them here? Marcus stumbled onto the road. Collapsing, his headlights swept over him. A passing driver, an older woman, stopped and rushed him home. Shaking, he told his mother everything. The boys, the chase, the eerie chant. She held him, her face tight with fury and fear. The police were called, but Jake and his friends were found hours later, shaken and scratched, claiming they'd gotten lost in the woods. No charges stuck. The town whispered it was just boys being boys. Marcus never returned to the woods. His sketchbook, left behind, was never recovered, a piece of his soul stolen by that night. His family moved months later, unable to bear Pine Hollow's suffocating prejudice. The incident left Marcus quieter, his trust in the world fractured. The woods, once his refuge, now haunted his dreams, not with mythical skinwalkers, but with the real monsters, humans cloaked in hate. The story spread, a cautionary tale about a town's buried bigotry erupting into violence. It wasn't just Marcus's story. It was a mirror to countless others, where racial hatred stalks its victims under the guise of normalcy. The woods didn't need supernatural creatures. The true skinwalkers were the ones who wore familiar faces, their prejudice shape-shifting into cruelty. How many more Marcuses are out there, running from shadows that look like neighbors? What will it take for us to confront the monsters we've let thrive in plain sight?